with Intention, podcast where we bring you stories from around the globe. Hello and welcome to Rise and Thrive Mornings with Intention. And today I have a beautiful guest with me, Laura Richards. Welcome. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very good. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to have you here. But first, let's talk about a little bit about where you're from and what do you do, and then we'll jump into the questions, please.
Sure. I'm Laura Richards, and I live in Las Vegas, and I have been here the majority of my life, except a few other things to go elsewhere. But this is my hometown, and I am a narcissistic abuse recovery expert, a speaker, author, and coach. So I help women, usually in midlife, heal after narcissistic abuse.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Well, let's get into it deeper
Yeah.
then. So, for those who may be new to your work, can you share a little
Yeah.
bit about your journey and what led you to start speaking out about narcissistic abuse?
Yes. Well, this was not what I set out to do. This was not my dream as a child. After 32 years of marriage, I got a divorce, and I really thought we were getting divorced for reconcilable differences. And so as I started doing my healing, I really was like, what happened? Like what happened? What just happened to us? And why could we never make things work? And I started doing a lot of healing, and then I started to see things on social media. I had learned the word gaslighting, and gaslighting is really when they're lying and manipulating your words to make you feel crazy and unstable. And I definitely resonated with that word, and I felt like that was happening to me in my marriage, but that's all I knew. And then had a bombshell drop when I started to unravel lies that my ex had been telling me. I understood he was dating somebody that I thought he might be dating while we were married, things like that. And that really opened my eyes to narcissistic abuse and what it was, what coercive control is, and what domestic violence is. And so I unfortunately then had to become an expert so that I could go on my healing journey in a targeted way and really start healing the wounds that had been created for so many years or decades. And out of that, the short version is out of that, I felt the need to speak to others and want to help other women share their story. And so I started sharing my story on a podcast. First, I started sharing on social media, and then I started sharing on, created my own podcast, started talking to other women, and they share their stories. And we talk about how we healed and how you can see the red flags so that doesn't happen to you.
Mm-hmm. Well, sorry you had to go through that.
Thank
Sure,
you.
the journey is not easy, but I just want to get into a little bit deeper here. What was the turning point that gave you the courage to actually break free? Because I know many women
Yeah.
stay and they're like, I just can't break free. What was it for you?
Yeah. Well, the thing is I didn't know that anything was happening until after I was divorced. So when I look back, I have to look back in knowing that I didn't know anything. And I had to be done. I said to myself, what if I live another 40 years? Can I live another 40 years with this man the way things are going? And I said to myself, I can't. Years before that, I had started therapy for some things that had happened in our family. And that's where I started to find my voice. Not that he was a narcissist or anything like that, but starting to find my voice of what did I want? What was important to me? Was I living a life that I really wanted to live? And I wasn't. I was very unhappy. I started to see what a very apathetic person he was, where he just didn't even care about anything or anyone, just himself. And that's what I did was I stopped and asked myself, can I continue like this? And I couldn't. And I wasn't in any physical danger. So I was able then to leave. And that's the short version. We can talk as much as you want about this, and deeper and whatever, but that's the short version. I talk about it in great length on my social media and on my podcast because it's a very long story. as far because it's 33 years of unraveling lies. So
Mm,
just talking about it all. Yeah.
that's a long time. And I believe you do talk about it in your book, Married to
Yes.
a Nice Guy. You
Yes.
share deep personal experiences, but what was the writing process like for you? And did it feel healing to you, or like, can you explain that to us
Yeah.
more?
Well, yeah, and so about let's see, it was a almost 2 years after I got a divorce, about a year and a half, that I thought I'd like to write a book with my story. I had told my story on podcasts and as a guest on podcasts, but there's something about the book writing process. I don't know if you feel that way. There's just something about it, like putting your words on paper and that people can like hold it in their hand. To me, it just sounded exciting and I really wanted to do it that way. So the publisher I worked with, she actually had been in narcissistic abuse herself. And she said, wow, you're just so you know, as you're writing your story, you're going to experience a lot of emotions and stuff. And I was thinking, why? I've already talked about this. No big deal. But it's a very emotional thing. And so I took some of my journal entries and wrote them in the book. And then I talked about what was happening in my head, in my life, what the narcissist was doing, and it was very emotional. And also, my brain started putting puzzle pieces together and saying, I'm writing a story. And then all of a sudden, I'm like, wait a second, I think that was a lie. I think he was lying to me. It was amazing. My brain just started putting the puzzle pieces together.
Yeah. I know what you mean when it's writing with a process, because I know when I was writing my first collaboration book, or was it the second one? I was talking about things that I normally didn't talk about, like because I
Mhm.
buried them deep down inside. So when I was
Yeah,
trying to write the story, it's like, okay, how can I write it so A, it makes sense, B, was there something I forgot? And then you all of a sudden feel like things are surfacing up. It's like, oh, that was there. I didn't even know that was still there,
right.
you know?
Yeah,
So yeah, it's like 50 shades of, going through emotions kind of thing.
right.
So
It
yeah,
is.
I can totally relate. So I wanted to see what it was like for you.
Yeah, so similar. I mean, and it's a good thing because I don't want it to be just this like surface thing. And it was very healing, I think, because I used to be scared of like, oh, that's going to be a trigger that I shouldn't allow that to happen. And so you bury it deep inside. Okay, well, burying my emotions deep inside didn't get me anywhere in life. As I did the healing work, it was so good to get it out. So to me, it was just another level of like therapy almost, you
Yeah.
know.
And you're right. I did the same thing. I suppressed so many emotions in my early childhood that
Yeah.
finally, when I let it out, it was like a trigger after trigger, you could say, and
Yeah.
it's like, whew, and it's like, wow, who knew that all that stuff was still in there? Because on the surface, you think it's, oh yeah, I'm good, until it get triggered. It's like, oh man, do I have a lot of work to do?
Yeah, I mean it's true. But it shouldn't scare anybody because it's when you look at it, you can like get through the trigger faster. You learn the tools on how to do it. And so now it's like if something triggers me, I'm like I can talk about it and go, "Oh, that's why. I understand." I can move through it a lot faster. So it's not scary anymore.
Yeah, exactly. So, women who stay silent out of fear or maybe shame, what do you want women to have? Like, um, what do you want them to know right now?
Yeah.
Like, what would you say to them?
Yeah. Well, you don't have to start a podcast or write a book. But shame is broken when you tell your story. Shame is broken when you bring it to the light. Shame is broken in community and conversation. And when I first started talking about what had happened to me, I had a lot of people tell me, you shouldn't talk about this, almost like you know, we don't talk about these things. And I said, that doesn't make sense to me because the only person we're protecting is the abuser. Now, I never say my ex's name and I don't talk about him like that. I talk about what happened so that other people can understand. And so when you are told to be quiet about what happened to you or you're shamed, it doesn't help you heal. You'll find the right people. Not everyone is safe to share your story with. I had plenty of people in my life where I started to tell my story and they were like, okay, like they didn't want to hear it. Those people aren't safe. And not everyone is going to be part of your tribe and not everyone's going to be safe. So that's why also when I started the podcast, I wanted to give women a platform that where they could tell their story. And some of them had never told their story. And they're like, I can't believe I'm telling the story. I'm like, well, it's okay. It's just you and me. I'm like, and the whole world, but let me tell you, the messages I get in my DMs, it keeps me going because women are like, I've never told my story and you give me the courage to share. And that's all it is because we're only protecting the abuser when we don't share our story.
That's right. So, what are some of the most common misconceptions about narcissist abuse that you've come across, perhaps?
Well, that because you didn't get hit, that it's really not abuse. And we know that coercive control, which is the mind games that are used, the put downs, the manipulation, anything like that, that an abuser does, physical or not physical abuse, right? Abuser, they still use mind games and coercive control to control their partner. But that was the biggest, I guess, barrier or yeah, I guess barrier that I came across was people were like, well, it's not really abuse because he didn't hit you. And so I have learned that yes, it is. I didn't even want to be alive at the end of my marriage because I was so confused, manipulated. I was a shell of a human. I didn't want to be alive. I didn't know what else to do. I was stuck in freeze mode. And I have heard this from countless women who were not hit, but didn't want to be alive. That's disturbing.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know it could go to that extent, but I
Yeah.
guess it does happen.
Yeah.
So, what was it that was it community, mentors, or participant? Like, what was it that helped you reclaim your sense of self-worth and confidence after all this has happened?
Yeah. Well, when I walked out of my marriage, I really felt really low and I didn't feel like I had any self-esteem. And so I went to work on that. I started working with my therapist and also coaches to help me build up my self-esteem. I did a lot of reading and prayer and things like that. Anything I could get my hands on. I started like voraciously researching how was I going to get better? Like I was desperate. I was like, I left my marriage. Okay, so now what? Like I don't even like myself. I hate everything in this world and I wanted to feel better. And so I just did so many things. I've worked with holistic coaches, regular coaches, my therapist, prayer groups. I have beautiful friends who have done the work themselves that were there to encourage me and say, you're not always going to feel this way. And that really helped me. It took time, but I intentionally ran after my healing every day, even if it meant today I'm just going for a walk to get those good chemicals back in my brain. Some days that was enough.
Wow, beautiful. So we're also actually both of us are in the upcoming book, the Yes I Can and I Did, and I'm super
Yes.
excited for this book myself too, because it will be my fourth
Mhm.
one. But can you tell us, please, what is your chapter gonna be about? You don't have to tell us everything, but sneak peek,
Yeah.
perhaps.
Yeah, I'm so excited too because that title was it was so intriguing to me. Yes, I can and I did because I felt like people not wanting me to talk about abuse. I had people that didn't want me to start a podcast. Like you shouldn't talk about it. My God, don't talk about it on a podcast. And so my story of like how I overcame that and how I really unraveled everything I had to unlearn so many things from my whole life to be able to say, no, this is the new me, like Laura with boundaries, Laura healing, Laura who loves herself, and then starting a podcast and like talking openly about this publicly. It just so that's what it is. It's sort of my journey and how I decided that this is the way to be. It's not really even about my podcast or anything, but it's about what I decided to do with my story. So, yeah, I'm excited about the book too.
That's amazing. Yes, so follow us, subscribe so you don't miss the
Yes.
upcoming things. So many great things coming up.
Yeah.
So now, what advice would you give to women who are at the very beginning, perhaps, of realizing they might be in a toxic or narcissist relationship?
Yeah. Well, if they're still in it, just know if they don't have to be diagnosed. So a lot of women want me to give them a checklist, and I don't have a checklist for you. I have I want you to know that if you're not being treated the way you think you should be treated, if you don't have a partner that supports you, that treats you badly, that you maybe are even physically afraid of, that is not a safe place for you to be. And the partner that is has maybe narcissistic tendencies will not change. It's just very common. And like for me, my partner even said to me, my ex-husband said, I am never going to change. If you don't like it, you need to go to therapy. And so I did. And in therapy, I found my voice. But I thought, okay, well, he said he's not going to change. And we can't force anybody to change. But I thought that maybe he would change, and they won't. And so I just encourage women. I have tons of resources on my website. If you decide you want to leave, I have tons of resources for that. And if you have left and you're just starting your journey, I'm here to help you I have tons of resources for you. You can work with me. You can just do some of the things on my website. I have tons of freebies for you to move forward in your life and really love yourself.
Awesome. And you have a beautiful website, by the way. I took a
Thank
sneak
you.
peek. It's very nice. So, is the obviously I'll post the link in the in this video, but can you
Yes.
tell us the website name, please?
Sure. My podcast is called That's Where I'm At Podcast. So the website is that's where I'm at podcast.com. You can find every single thing on there and my social media links as well.
Oh, awesome. Perfect. Thank you so much. So since the name of the podcast is my podcast is Rise and Thrive Mornings with Intention, how important do you think it's to set intention for the day, and how has intention maybe played a role in your own healing and thriving?
Yeah. Well, I wish I was better at this. And I'm not trying to be self-deprecating, but I wish I was better at this, but what I am is a very organized person. So even the night before, I'm setting the alarms, I'm deciding what I'm going to do in the morning. I have a neighbor that lives, right across from me, and we decide together, hey, let's walk, let's keep each other accountable. Let's socialize with each other because we're both single and we don't have anyone else. And so things like that. But in the morning, I don't know that I have like a routine or anything, but my favorite thing to do is I have to get up because my cat is yelling at me for food. So I have to do that. But so that's the first thing we have to do. But my favorite thing to do is grab a cup of coffee and then get back into bed because I just find it cozy. And when I was married, my ex told me I was lazy for doing that. And so now I love it. And I do it every day.
Ah, you gotta enjoy life, right? Life's
That's
too short.
right.
That's what I say.
I know. I know.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being on my podcast. I enjoyed this. It was so nice to meet with you. And please follow us and subscribe so you don't miss anything going forward. Thank you, Laura, for being here. And I wish everyone a wonderful day today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.